Well, I say we're ready. I'll be in order. Allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Roll call.
Beard?
Yes.
Blade?
Yes.
Harmon?
Yes.
Layton?
Yes.
Kay?
Yes.
Holcomb?
Yes. Okay. Need most to approve the agenda.
Motion approved.
Second.
Beard?
Yes.
Blade?
Yes.
Harmon?
Yes.
Layton?
Yes.
Kay?
Yes.
Holcomb?
Yes. Okay, then I need most to approve the minutes of the special board meeting held on March 8th, 2023.
Make it.
Second.
Blade?
Yes.
Harmon?
Yes.
Layton?
Yes.
Kay?
Yes.
Beard?
Yes.
Holcomb?
Yes. I need most to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting held on March 14th, 2023.
Make motion.
Second.
Harmon?
Yes.
Layton?
Yes.
Kay?
Yes.
Beard?
Yes.
Blade?
Yes.
Holcomb?
Yes. Okay, at this time, do you have any public comment? I think we have a few people. You there with the hat on?
I'm the guy with the hat on.
Thank you. You want to go first?
I'm here as sort of a spokesman for a number of people who have been alarmed a little bit, upset a bit over the last board meeting you had. We don't feel like that the citizens out here in this county don't feel like that any member of the board should have sent out an email inappropriately with inappropriate language. We realize that you guys are trying to represent the county the best way you can. The ladies involved in this, on the receiving end of this email, we think the board owes her an apology. Now, you may not all think that, but we think they do. So, that's the main reason I came today. We believe that this board should behave in some kind of decorum. You know, we're entitled to that out here. We live out here in the country, and we follow these things, and we do believe that we need the best we can from this board. And I know you're part of the problem is a lot of it has some stress. This thing has to do with this problem with the ambulances. Not a business. It's not a business. It's an ambulance service. So let's get on with some of that. Let's dispense with some of this animosity, language problems, and this kind of thing. Unless you give somebody authority, vote and authority for somebody to choose somebody out that works for one of these other departments, one of the public service departments, then that shouldn't happen. So I would appreciate it, and we would appreciate it, if it ceased as of today. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, anyone else with public comment here? Julie Vipon, you would like to say something?
Okay, I'd like to introduce myself, Julie Vipond. I am
not only a citizen of this county, but a former member of the SSA Commission that was, by the way, recruited by Jonathan Kay. After reading the minutes of the special session meeting held by the county board about the ambulance service, I was disappointed, dismayed, outraged, and outright appalled by the tone and tenor and disrespect shown so publicly to the Toledo Ambulance Board. I feel I must remind this board that Mr. K is but one vote and only one vote. As I stated, Mr. K recruited me with the same data he now uses to argue there is some kind of malfeasance within the Toledo Ambulance Company. I found that the data in spreadsheet that Mr. K provided to the SSA Commission in 2019-2020 was misleading in many ways. When referencing losses, for example, those numbers were not accounts receivable of outstanding fees that were recoverable, but a reflection of extremely high numbers of our county's Medicare and Medicaid population. When I was on the SSA, the active ambulance coordinator went through the process with me. 80 to 90% of their runs were either Medicare or Medicaid. This is a set amount that will be paid by the government for these runs. 80% of this charge is covered by the government, and the patient is responsible for the remaining 20% of that governmental rate. The rest of the normal fee is written off as a loss. Because the ambulance company by law cannot go back to the patient to retrieve the difference. If the patient has supplemental insurance, that policy will only cover the 20% left over from the governmental rate and not the total fee charged. There are 3 times on the Mr. K spreadsheet that you will see a spike in losses. Each time this occurs, it represents a year which the ambulance fees were raised. When the fees are raised, then the loss for Medicare and Medicaid raises because the governmental rates have not changed. Mr. K also provided a graph that he states proves that the taxes collected raising by 7.34% per year from 2012 to 2019. This statement is also misleading. The amount shown on the graph is the amount collected and not the rate charged for that year to individuals. There are many variables that go into collection of taxes for the year. For example, any back taxes from previous years paid during that tax year will increase the collection, thus explaining the difference between the 4.99% levy requested during some years and the average of 7.34% shown on Mr. K's graph. No resident has ever been charged more than requested levies. In fact, the SSA area number 3 taxes are actually less than they were in 2013. To demonstrate this point, I refer you to the graph I've provided. This graph shows changes in actual rate charges for each SSA area from 2013 to 2021. As you can see, SSA area number 3, unincorporated county, is currently at a rate of 0.08677, while SSA area number 1, Jewett, is at a rate of 0.21457. And SSA area number 2, the village of Toledo, is at a rate of 0.20043. The original charter of the SSA had the unincorporated area at a reduced rate for farmland. But that area has enjoyed that reduced rate since 1982. And is it really equitable to have people living in the villages paying rates well over double the outlying areas? Moving on to Mr. K's insistence on audits. When has this board ever told a vendor that they work with how to run their company? Does the board require construction companies that work with our highway department to to undergo annual audits and provide the results as part of their contracts? The audit provision in the Toledo Ambulance Company was replaced the second year of my participation. A full gap audit is the kind of audit that is performed by large corporations and municipalities at a cost of $6,000 to $8,000. The ambulance board was willing to submit to this type of audit, but it was unwilling to pay for it. And rightfully so, since it's not required by the state of Illinois. The county board at the time decided that this was an expense that they were unwilling to incur and stated that they were satisfied with the financial records that were required by the state of Illinois. You need to keep in mind that with alternative staffing ideas that have been floated about, the days of volunteer EMS workers or EMS workers being paid per run is over. With all the unfunded regulations put in place for certifications and continuing education requirements, no one paying their own training and education is going to volunteer. Those individuals will be looking for full-time positions. Those same individuals are not coming to work for our local ambulance companies because we have a quote-unquote nice, quiet community. The ambulance companies are paying for a person's skill set and knowledge, regardless of how many calls they get. In fact, I could almost bet any EMS professional would rather work in a more active environment to keep their skill sets sharp. After the years of scrutinizing the Toledo Ambulance Company, no one, including Mr. K, has any evidence to prove any malfeasance on the part of the company or any of their board members. The ongoing harassment of their board has got to stop. The behavior at the last meeting was embarrassing for the residents of this county. I'm further embarrassed that Mr. K has taken a personal position and turned it into some kind of persecution of the Toledo Ambulance Company. His personal bias was made crystal clear in his email to Mrs. Droyer. His unprofessional and unacceptable language must be condemned by all in this room and our community at large. And I would like Mrs. Droyer to know, even though she is not here, she has my heartfelt support. Statements such as the ambulance company needs more conservatives on the board only highlights the desperate frustration Mr. K must feel. Their board is made up of residents of this county that volunteer their time to assist in the oversight of the company they are looking after, the viability of the company, and the health and well-being of the area they serve. To imply otherwise is divisive, creates animosity between the county government and the county for whom they contract services. The company that, may I remind you all, that was the only company that bid on providing that service. Green Up and Neoga did not bid on providing this service. They wanted nothing to do with this area. Vendor relationships are vital for all involved. Because Mr. K's behavior and aura of distrust hangs over every decision made by both parties, I recommend the following action be taken to help repair the fractured relationship between the two parties. Number one, Mr. K needs to take training or a refresher course relating to workplace harassment. Using his position of power as a county board member should not be abused in such a manner when working with any outside vendor. The county board needs to remove Mr. K as a representative when communicating with the ambulance board. The county board needs to appoint another member to the primary point of contact with the ambulance company. All questions or concerns need to be directed through this assigned contact. Mr. K has proven his inability to act in the best interest of the county when dealing with the ambulance board members. And number three, treat the ambulance company as professionals. Stop with the unprofessional and harassing behavior. Require professional etiquette at all meetings. Absolutely no use of profanity in any and all communication methods. You do not have to like the people you need to work with, but you do have to have a professional manner. Otherwise, the drama caused by being unprofessional will overtake the issues at hand, just like it has done in this case. Please remember, Mr. K is but one vote. And from the people I have spoken with, he does not represent the attitude and views of this area he serves. Reducing taxes is a laudable goal, but taxes are there to be used to provide vital services. The SSA areas were created by the county to provide this particular vital service. The county board's time and energy would be better utilized by trying to attract new industry and businesses to the area, working with those businesses to help support our vital services and improve the living environment in the county to attract new homeowners, people who want to buy property and improve it. Thank you.
Well, I had a couple questions for her, but
Go ahead.
what years were you on the SSA?
2019, 2020.
And I guess my question is, how come the SSA didn't go for the max on their levy whenever they were financially strapped at the ambulance service?
Because
Because I mean, the rate could have been 2.2, which was on one of them out of the whole
right, the
thing.
first year I was on the board, we did submit for the 4.99%. But the second year, it was decided I was the dissenting vote at the time. There was 4 on the commission. And they had voted not to not to request a levy increase at all. And the reasoning was, after I went through the data and met with the ambulance board and they walked me through step by step, that, okay, everything is working fine. They needed another year for the Toledo ambulance to prove themselves. I did not agree with that. I was the lone dissenting vote. And I did make that crystal clear at the county board meeting when I presented their recommendation.
And then this is petty, but it's you made the comment about contractors and stuff. Well, anybody that does a job for the state, like through the county, bridges or whatever else, they do have to submit their financial statements to the state to qualify to do those jobs.
And
So
does the Toledo Ambulance Company. They have financial records and stuff that they have to submit to the state. What was being asked of them was a gap audit. And that gap audit cost $6,000 to $8,000. That is not something that you ask for of any vendor, unless it's a very large corporation or a municipality. And when we found that out, they said that they would submit to it. They agreed to it, but they couldn't use they were strapped enough that they said that they couldn't pay for it. When we brought it to the county board at the time, the county board said that was something that they didn't support requiring.
okay, that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Julie. Okay, that's fine. Anyone else there have a public comment at this time? Yes, Tony?
Yeah, I'm Tony Robb. I was asked to come to the meeting tonight to just be sure to voice my support for Toledo having an ambulance. I mean, it's something you need in this community. I mean, nobody wants to pay for it, but I've had some of my worst runs over it. Just like it is yesterday. And I'll talk about it, but last we go last Tuesday, voters agreed to pass a referendum to implement a tax of 0.40 for the Greenup Fire Protection District ambulance only, not the fire, just on the ambulance. The village is committed $150,000 a year plus utilities. And we look to bring in around $300,000 of income from our runs. We're looking at a budget around $720,000 to operate on. And we don't know if that's gonna work or not. We hope it does. We're gonna do everything we can to bring in additional funds by make our transfers for local residents. Because we're here for local residents, and that'll bring in income. We look to staff one ambulance full-time, 24/7. And we're gonna staff the second ambulance with our volunteers who are currently running ambulance service town. And we said a long time ago that if Toledo ambulance service went down, take Greenup with it. And just about has. I mean, it's pushed our people to the brink. I mean, it's just, at one time, Greenup staffed 3 ambulances. And wasn't a problem. And now we struggle to get one. And the training that's required for the medics, it's not designed for the good old boys and the volunteers. You just, that's gonna be your lone job. We look to hire 4 people. We ideally need 7 full time, but we gotta crawl before we get up and walking and keep thinking about running. Vote to be online mainly by July. And that's about set in stone. We've got to go through the interview process, and there's a lot of backgrounds that have to be completed and a lot of state work. The fire board, we're looking at an advisory board to oversee the ambulance service. It takes professionals to run. I mean, we got great trustees, but they know, what they can do, and we got to make every decision right. So far this year, Greenup has been paged out at 262 runs this year. That's not patients. That's calls for service. Some of those calls, you have 2 up to 7 patients. So, I mean, as far as how many we're transporting, who knows? But we thank the voters for overwhelmingly approving our referendum. I mean, it passed by 70 to 30%. So, I mean, it tells you right there, people agreeing are behind us. The village board agreement has went beyond the call. And I'm on the village board and on the fire department, been on the ambulance service. I wear a lot of hats. And it kept me up a lot of nights. How we're going to keep us ambulance running is when they dial 911 and I'm on the ambulance board or on the 911 board, it's a worry. And so I just ask that you guys show your support for the Toledo ambulance, because they definitely need an ambulance. It's a really thankless job. Anything Greenup can do to help, we will, but our first priority is Greenup. I mean, we got the nursing home, we got a backhoe, the truck stop at the interstate. I mean, we got a lot of stake, and the village felt that they couldn't take a chance to lose our ambulance, because it is very busy. It's something we gotta have. That's all I got to say.
All right, Tony. Thank you. Anybody else with a public comment? Mr. Black?
Is that okay? I'm not going to reiterate what the first 3 speakers said, because they're absolutely right. So there's no reason for me to reiterate that kind of stuff. I just want to say something that I mentioned to the board beginning the first time that you met, I think it was, that you were elected to serve the county. Yes, you're elected in the West District, the Central District, and the East District, but you're here to serve the whole county. You don't vote on things that's on the agenda by the East District voting or the West District voting or the Central District voting. You vote for the county. Well, you have I don't even know what the word I'm trying to think of. You need to understand that the people of this county are looking to you for some guidance. If you don't want to provide that guidance, if you say, I'm not in the central district, I'm not going to provide guidance for the county, then get off the board. If you don't want to save people's lives, then get off the board. If you don't want to save people's lives, the death or the crippledness or whatever happens when an ambulance service doesn't get there in time is blood on your hands. Now, I hope that you vote as a county instead of as individuals. I didn't have a speech made up like Julie did, but I really feel strongly about this ambulance service. I don't want anyone to die. I have no idea why we don't want it. Maybe people's getting paid off to vote against it. I have no idea. But it's not, hey, Todd's laughing at me now.
I am laughing at you.
But, you know, once again, I'm just going to say, you were elected. You were elected to do county work. And the central district is part of the county. I will agree right here that I've had a lot of people talking to me about this ambulance, or the ambulance. And of course, the ones that I talked to, since I fought for it for quite a while, the ones I've talked to wants it. And I've had a bunch of them that want it. Thank you.
Okay, Ron. One more?
I've been doing a lot of research. Jonathan pointed out some statutes about fire district to me at the SSA meeting. So I've been doing a lot of research on that. There is a statute, but you did not go into it far enough. You read the first little paragraph. The Greenup Fire Department just took on an ambulance district. Their taxes for that district are across the board. They pay the same tax on their farm ground as they do on a house. It's not like this SSA. It's across the board. You talked about giving this SSA this annual service to the fire department. It does say that we have to have an annual service per the state, but it says it can be given to a private entity if it's financially feasible. It can be given to a fire department, but at that time, you have to give them the chance, the trustees, the opportunity to impose a tax, just like Greenup did, up to 0.40. So I guess I'm giving you this that I researched. We're squabbling over 0.22, and everybody, is complaining over 0.22. They're going to come back, and what are they going to say to you over 0.40? If you go and force the fire department to take it, because you're going to have to put it to the public to vote for a district. And if they don't take the district,
If they vote for it, then they can't say they don't like it.
but what if they vote it down? Because if they vote it down, there's not going to be a tax, there's not going to be an animal service. That's just the way it is. By this. This is a state statute. And then you're going to have to hire an outside entity if it's feasibly economically. That means there may not be taxes to pay for it. That means you're going to have to reach in your pocket and pay for an ambulance, according to this statute. Am I lying, Jonathan? You're the one that brought this statute to me.
No, right. I agree with the statute, and I understand what you're saying, and there is those are valid points. There's always a little bit more to it, but
No, there's a lot to it.
I like
It's 6
what you're
pages
saying.
long. And I've studied it since our SSA meeting.
Where does it say in there, since you've read it, because I haven't, where does it say in there that the county board has to provide the service?
Says that right up here in the very first part of it. I'll make you a copy of it.
Give me the side of that statute.
It's,
Shouldn't be like 7.
70 Illinois CS 705/22.
Thank you.
That goes all the way to,
Should just be subsections under that. I've got it. Thank you.
okay. And I believe that's written by, the attorney that represents the 2 fire departments, about every fire department in the state. He wrote the book that the fire departments follow.
Nope. I'd given that statute to Jonathan, but I didn't keep the site, so I just wanted to look at it.
Okay, Bob.
No comment.
Anybody else have a public comment? If not, we'll move on to, our guest for this evening, Carrie Verdine. You have a few comments about the Veterans Memorial?
No, well, it was up to you because you had asked about the design. You called me and
Right.
I provided it to you guys, so.
I think you'll have in your packet a copy of the design for the Veteran Memorial that she wants to place on the courthouse lawn. And I've looked at it, I've not been out there.
There is a little bit of a difference. They enlarged it a little bit bigger than what we want it to be on there, but they were just compensating for like figuring with the concrete. So it's not as large, and like the landscaping area is actually smaller because he didn't understand me. And there might be a little bit of a curve on one of the sidewalks to fit between 2 trees. But other than that, because we didn't want to take any trees down. So, but other than that, that's the gist of it. It will be mostly that. There might be a little curve to go around a tree and it will be a little smaller.
So I know the board approved this particular idea,
Right.
but now you've added,
That's why.
this and this and this.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's not as big. It's not going to be that big. They just did it figuring concrete. We wanted to be over versus less.
Right, but I'm
So
saying
not
you're
meaning
adding
to
a
lay
whole
on
bunch
you.
of extra stuff that, like the piece of metal and the.
Well,
We're talking
no,
about
this was changed. This was approved because it was the piece of military equipment. But since we were on the wait list forever, I thought, well, I went ahead with my idea to write a letter, and we ended up getting a piece of 9/11 steel. So that area was already approved because that was the piece that we had the conversation when Roy Clapp was on here.
Right.
And about helicopter and tank and talking about the pieces of military equipment that you could put in for. So that spot was actually not changed. That was on there to begin with. The only thing that we made a change because we didn't want it to be lost or abandoned is the veterans monument that already exists out at the park, because it's pretty much, well, it's neglected year long until it's time for Memorial Day. And then I go spruce it up, and then they do their flag and they put the wreaths, and then it's done. And then it's neglected again. And so that it's not completely forgotten and it's not a waste, we wanted to incorporate it and bring it up there. And in the process of doing that, we're updating it because the last stones that they had done when it was the past Auxiliary Sons and Legion, when they put it all together, was Persian Gulf. So there's 2 other stones that we were going to add that are small ones like that would say Afghanistan and Iraq. And then we would spruce it all back up again and clean it because it's got mold on it, and like the white lettering on the stones has faded and come off, and it, like I said, it's neglected. So that's the difference that we wanted to do, was to add that other piece of sidewalk and add that. But the other part that was already there, it's just changed to what we would put there, because who knows, it may be 30 years before we would. Matt Toon's been waiting for a helicopter for over 20 years. So we don't want a helicopter. We just wanted a small piece of military equipment. But what was that? Probably 4 years ago that I was here talking about that. So, haven't heard a word from him. So who knows how long that would be. But as it is, we thought, once we got that piece of steel, it's a living history for our county.
So Carrie, you're wanting board approval for this, I take it.
Yeah, That-
What about the maintenance on this memorial? What about the maintenance on it? Or whatever it would be?
well, I mean, when we decided it before, it was going to be given, once we did it, we were giving it to the county and doing it for the veterans.
We're in charge of maintenance.
We have to have insurance on it and everything else.
Do
Well, I mean, if somebody tore it up, you'd want it fixed. So you'd have to insure it.
That had all been approved before. The only difference is just adding that sidewalk.
The county in charge of maintenance, it sounds. Anybody got a problem with that? I guess the county has to maintain it.
I'm sorry.
I guess the county will have to maintain it.
I mean, as long as I'm around, I'm willing to help take care of the, of the stuff and around. And I'm sure, the flags and stuff, I'm sure that the auxiliary and the veterans monument, group and the ones for flags.
What kind of tree is a survivor tree?
That was what I discussed that last time I was here. It's an elm. It's the survivor tree is actually, starts that came off of the Oklahoma City bombing survivor tree. It's an elm tree.
Leaf, I believe. That's a lot of stems on the ground.
It's no worse than the Cleveland pears and Bradford pears that are up there that don't have tap roots or split and fall in half. So, I mean, there's 4 of them up there on the square that aren't going to last maybe 10 more years because they split or fall over.
Yeah, I know you provided it at one of the last meetings, but I cannot find that paper saying live. Did you give the total cost, what this was gonna?
There
roughly be?
is,
And then what you had
well,
what you had raised
Yeah.
so far.
okay, so,
So I cannot find that paper.
all right, so right now, with donations and stuff, we have raised 142,000 change, purchased almost $90,000, and then we've had
90,000 out of that 142.
yes that we've
Okay.
purchased, and then we've got 31,000, almost 30. Well, that's not right because we've got okay. So I've got almost 32,000 in the account now, but we've been pledged $1,000 from Casey's for a grant. I got approval last week at Greenup. The Village of Greenup's giving $2,500. We've got the lottery thing that we did and deposited last week, but I can't tell you what that dollar amount was. We have another lottery going right now. And then we go to what we have.
What was your total budget or cost?
That's what I'm going. That's what I'm going for. That was what our bank statement stuff was. Then we have. Sorry, I'm going through a grant to find the pages.
I know you gave it to us, but I cannot find it.
Okay, so that was 65. About 150,000, 160,000, because we've got like things with our electric that are being donated. So it's messing up with my total that I've got in here. Because I don't know how much the wiring costs.
So roughly between 150 and 160.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Because like you guys are donating the rock, so that changed my budget. We're donating landscaping. Tim Grissom said he'd donate wire. My electric budget hasn't come in yet, but it's supposed to be here tomorrow or the day after. So But that's roughly it.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions? Oh, and I would like to address this, okay? Because there seems to be this rumor that keeps coming up and around, and I'll address this to anybody that has a question. I have no problem answering questions about this. I'm an open book. But how dare any of you, I've spent almost 20 years of my life working on this, accuse me of theft. Because I have people in this community questioning my integrity. Don't do it. Because I gave 18 years doing something. I'm not a veteran. I have family members are. But I kept a promise. And there's a lot of people in this community that can't say that. So I don't want to hear that again. If you have a question about me, you come and talk to me.
Okay, Terry. All right, thank you. Very good, very good. Okay. All right, that should be all for now. Oh, wait. All right, now I need a motion to approve the resolution adopting the 2023 hazard mitigation plan. This is done by Joe Vogt. Joe Vogt. And then Joe's not here.
He is.
Oh, he is great.
Signed
Okay.
in form.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a motion for that effect. Need a second to that motion?
Second.
I'll second it.
Okay, Layton,
Yes.
Kay,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Blake,
Yes.
Harmon,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes. Okay. Next, I'd like to motion to approve the amended contract with the Toledo Ambulance Service. Have you all seen a copy of it?
I had a couple questions, and
Here it goes.
maybe the state's attorney can straighten me up on this. Terms and conditions, and this is just a question, I don't know how it reads or how you would interpret it, but it says this money shall be used only for the provisions of the ambulance service and related activities to the district as provided. So if they have to back up Greenup or back up Neoga, is that going to be a breach of the contract?
I wouldn't say no, mainly because I think even though you're your own district, you still have the ability and the authority to back up other districts. I can't remember, Sheriff, what's the term you guys use when you back up other jurisdictions next to you? Mutual aid. Yep. So I would say that exercising mutual aid would not be a breach of the contract, would be my interpretation.
Because it also says in another, the amendment, oh, that's not it, sorry.
Is that new to the new?
No, it should have been the other, should have been the old contract. Well, that was not changed.
I didn't think so, but I just wanted to check. So I've got them both out.
Because it lays out the three townships too, due to the amount.
What paragraph is that?
Well, I thought I had it highlighted, but I'm trying to
Oh,
find it.
page 3 of 7, probably. Number, middle of the page. Mentions Cottonwood, Sumter, and Woodbury Townships.
What paragraph is that?
Yeah. Right above the reports.
Thank you.
That might be where you're at, I hope.
Is that it?
Yeah, I guess what I'd say about paragraph 4 is it does outline that the Toledo will transport those, townships, but they're not, wouldn't keep them from transporting others. What the contract says, these are what you're responsible for. If you want to exercise mutual aid outside of those townships, I would not consider that a breach.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that way,
Any questions?
there won't be any questions later. And then, on the amendment number 10, I want that last line, scratched out. It says any such execution. It says no amendments or variations of the terms and conditions of this contract should be valid unless approved or done by the county board chairman. In other words, none of us can make a recommendation based off of this paragraph, in my opinion.
It's the very last, the last sentence.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
reading it.
I think that needs to be scratched.
You know, I just want to-
Unless I was chairman, then it'd be fine.
Sorry.
I was thinking the same thing.
What I just said, you need?
Yes. No, not that. Not that. That last sentence. of that
Yeah, last
paragraph.
sentence just needs to be scratched, I think.
So I think what they mean by execution is just signed off, and I think anytime you have a contract, it's the chairman who signs that contract. So any amendment in writing, if the county board's gonna change something in writing, I think the county chairman is the one who signs it. So I don't think any one of you could just sign an agreement to modify any kind of contract for the county.
So then can you explain the first sentence of that paragraph and who that's referring to?
So amendments or variations of the terms and conditions of this contract shall be valid unless the same is in writing and signed by all the parties thereto. So both parties would be, the county would be a party, and according to this contract, county and the ambulance would be a party. So everybody in the ambulance wouldn't necessarily need to sign it. It would just be the representative of the ambulance, president, CEO, whoever, president or CEO of the county board is the chairman. So he would be the one who would sign it, which is a little bit redundant. But this, what he's saying is, essentially, if you're going to have something in writing, the county chairman is the one who needs to sign off on it. Doesn't mean that you guys couldn't vote for it. And if you vote for it, it passes, he's obligated to sign it.
So if he wanted to make an amendment and do it himself, would that be okay under this?
No.
Okay.
He wouldn't be able to, this wouldn't supersede county
It
board.
would have to be county board
Right,
approval,
right, yes,
the way it's stated right here.
yes.
I'm good with it.
You're right, because the county can't agree to anything, any agreement without approval of the county board.
Correct.
He's just your head who signs the documents. That's the way I read it.
Okay, well, I just wanted to verify that too.
Good question.
Any other questions?
We're a small community too, and this is another thing. It says no business owner, owned by an employee or elected official of a municipality may or valuable consideration provide goods or services as a subcontractor or a service provider agency pursuant to the services contract or service area. I mean,
That's true. That's why I make food stamps. I don't get reimbursed.
Yeah.
That's why. And I have no intention of ever getting reimbursed, period.
right, but I'm just saying, I mean, we are a small community and some of those things you may need one of these entities to help you in a service, but they won't be able to because of this.
It's always been in there. I mean, I don't know why, it's just always been in there.
I don't care. It don't matter to me. I mean, I'm never gonna probably be one of those people, but
It's a contract, you guys can put it in or take it out. I think what it protects essentially is if somebody wanted to fleece the taxpayers, you know, and the ambulance could say, oh, well, we need, you know, Todd Beard's welding service to come in here and do about $30,000 worth of work. And of course, Todd Beard's going to come in on the county board and vote for, you know, whatever increase there is because you're making.
right, I
money with
understand
this
what it's
welding.
about. But again, we're a small community and hopefully that doesn't happen.
Right. So that's what it's there to prevent. If you guys want to take that safeguard out, up to you.
Okay, so that is, that would be amended contract, or in the amended contract. So, at this point, I would like to have
The duration on that, I didn't see that on there.
a what?
The duration of the
I think it
contract.
starts out, it's the first paragraph, Kyle, if I remember right. It's been a while since I looked at it. But I want to say it starts on,
It's well, it depends when the day it's wrote in. And then it's 1 year?
yeah, I have it starting on September 1, 2022 and being 1 year. So it essentially ends September 1 of 2023.
Okay.
So we're halfway there. You're just
Yeah.
amending a contract that we're already halfway through.
That should be right. That's right. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Todd Lake makes the motion.
Feel obligated to tell everybody that the ambulance is already under a contract. We're already contracting with the ambulance. All this contract, what it does is takes away at least two of the paragraphs that would have been main arguments to argue for a breach of contract. And one of those was subcontracting, and I can't remember what the other one was. essentially, if you guys do adopt this contract, you hamstring your ability to go through with a breach of contract suit. So if you guys, I'm not telling you to do it or not. I just want to make sure you guys know the legal ramifications are that you are no longer being as strong a position to argue breach of contract the way that we're doing business with ambulance.
Well, one of the, can I ask one question?
Sure.
On the fees, I mean, do we need to even have that in there? Just let them do whatever they want?
Yes, I would like them in there.
Okay.
Personally, just for the fact of it eliminates, I'm not saying they would even at all, not saying that, but for whoever it would be that's running the business, it'll help eliminate if there's a fraudulent case where they want to charge a huge amount to some person.
So
The old-
Jonathan gets.
the old- yeah, The old caps were really low, and I did not realize the kind of board set them in place, but I feel like we double the caps now. So I think that's really helping this legal ambulance.
And that only doesn't protect, it also protects the ambulance.
Yeah, it's helping them.
Floyd called me and I got hold of cleanup and called their billing people and they gave me those numbers.
Yeah.
So that's what we agreed to.
Yeah.
Charge what Rena.
Yep, and I think that's fair. I
Oh, I
mean,
totally
legal
agree
ambulance
with
thinks it's fair. I think we need to definitely keep it in there though.
Protect both sides.
Yes, protect both sides.
Sounds good.
I'll second it.
We have a second, right?
Kay,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Slade,
Yes.
Harmon,
Yes.
Layton,
Yes.
Okafor.
Yes. Okay, now I need a motion this is complicated, to rescind the abatement of the special territory levies. Last meeting sometime, February meeting we did February meeting we decided to do a tax abatement after we raised the levy, we decided to do a tax abatement. And then now I would like to rescind that abatement and keep that tax levy up to 22, 22, and 16 on each book.
Mhm.
That's tax levy work. So that's what I would like to see.
I'll make the motion.
A second.
We have a motion and a second, all right?
Beard,
Yes.
Slade,
Yes.
Harmon,
Yes.
Layton,
Yes.
Kay,
Yes.
Okafor.
Yes.
Now, I got one comment though, for them to get the 16,
We gotta do it again.
huh?
We gotta do it again in what month?
Well, they will have to ask possibly for a little more than what that 22 would be in case,
We may be slightly under
yeah, so,
because we went on estimated EAVs, from.
Todd, we don't do the tax levy. You guys do.
I know what I'm saying, but the SSA is supposed to ask for funds.
Okay. Recommend 6.
We're supposed to
I don't know.
So what you gotta recommend is
Right.
cushioned up
Yes.
to come down to the 22, otherwise you're gonna be behind on.
We're gonna do that here in just a little bit. Have patience.
Okay, so that is done, right? The abatement, so we are back up to tax levy of 22, 22, 16, roughly, approximately. Okay, let's move on. Discuss and take action on the Veterans Memorial. You wanna do this, or we wanna figure on the, maintenance on it, or we?
I myself would like to keep it the same, because a lot of people have donated a lot of money and they keep expanding and it's gonna take more money. Take longer time, my opinion would be. I think people would like to see something done. So I think,
We're breaking ground coming July. We already decided last night at our meeting.
so great, so like I said, we keep it the same and get done faster.
Concrete to be poured and the electric. And we planned on moving after Memorial Day, that over and putting up the 9/11.
Todd, you said you want to keep it the same. What do you mean by that? I'm living.
What was passed in the past.
Oh, not adding this extra.
Right. Let's see what that looks like first, and to add on something in the future would not be a big deal, in my opinion.
Okay, all right.
Because they could, if they're gonna need electric to the other section, they can have a junction box.
It's one flagpole. One flagpole would be the light,
What you're talking about moving, we just need one flagpole light,
because it's got the flagpole down there.
so.
Well, I think it'd be best just to get it all done in one shot, otherwise you're gonna be tracking up the yard
Once
again.
it's done,
Might cost you
I'm
more in the
done.
future.
Yeah.
Nobody else has worked almost 20 years on this crap.
Yeah.
And I put in thousands
Let's
of
do
my
the
own
update now,
money.
and then we're done.
Yeah, then if they want to expand, then the next person, because I'm sure Terry's about ready to wash her hands of this, other than keeping up what's there, so.
We shouldn't have to do an update after this, I wouldn't think. We could have the option to vote it down next time. We've got a pretty good.
You said they're breaking
That's
ground, you said they're breaking ground when?
I think we planned on Freedom Day. We decided last night. we were
Last
talking-
Saturday in June.
So can I get a motion to that effect? to
I'll make the
approve
motion to
this?
approve it.
Second.
So what, tell me the wording you want to
We're
say.
gonna approve this memorial according to her blueprint, right? Basically,
It'll be a little smaller.
roughly your
So
blueprint,
you're gonna plant trees and everything.
one tree.
I put in there for 2. That way if we lost one for something, you'd have another.
I don't know, Ron.
I'm paying for the trees.
Well, I know,
But
but
the
we
trees,
gotta,
is it, are you saying you're planting one tree?
I
But
put
you're-
in there in the plan for 2,
So, okay, so you
for
do
2 of
have
the elm.
2 trees. That's the blue. Excellent. there.
Yeah, I can't remember what color I did.
I don't know, it's just-
Here, Kyle,
it's just
you
more
see.
Yeah, I
maintenance.
see it. Those
There's
two.
a-
I don't know, I mean, I'm not against trees, but I watched the maintenance guy sweeping up gumballs today.
I used to do that.
Yeah, so, now you're gonna put elm
You get
trees,
court,
which
you
have,
get a court-appointed employee to do that for
which
you.
have a compound leaf. Compound leaf is gonna stem that long with leaves on the side.
You work smarter, not harder, Todd.
Gumballs are worse. Can't always get
Maybe
those.
Steve could help you, or maybe the judge could send one your way to sweep up limbs.
Gumballs are worse than, a lot worse.
Mhm.
They never go away.
They're pretty.
Yeah, there you go, Steve. I just roped you into it too. Thanks for your
We
donation.
have
Yeah.
Okay, I want to reread this motion, okay? I want this motion to approve the memorial specs as presented tonight. Okay, that's the
That's
motion.
fine.
Anybody? So, we have it,
Make that motion.
Todd and Janet.
Second, that.
Okay, that's what's on the floor. That's what you're voting on. Okay, go ahead, Beth.
Blake,
Yes.
Harmon,
Yes.
Layton,
Yes.
Kay,
Yes.
Beard,
No.
Ockenbrink.
Yes. Okay, motion carries.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay, next, discuss and take action on county board rules of order. This was asked at the last meeting, we'd like to maybe change a few things on this county rules of orders. You got any discussion on it tonight, or does anybody change their mind, or what's the deal? There's a county rules of order in this somewhere here.
I remember you bringing that up, Todd. I was reading that the other today, but I wasn't for sure what he was talking about, which,
Let me explain, let me read what I did. Page 27, people.
Mm-hmm.
At the last board meeting, I was asked, before the last one, I was asked by a couple board members to put something on the agenda, basically do with the ambulance service. And I basically told them no. Because, well, basically, I already had 2 motions on the table, on the agenda for the ambulance service, and they wanted to put 3 more motions on there. And they're kind of contradicting, and it was just getting a little too wild, and I basically told them no. So, now I read here, I didn't know whether I had to do that or not, but here it says in this page 27, agenda number 2, about how we do it. The county board chairman shall add any other item to the agenda upon written request of another board member, provided the county board chairman shall not be required to add a matter to the agenda, which, whatever. So, according to this, if you send me in writing something you request put on the agenda, I guess I basically have to put it on.
I would like verbal added to that as well. Why can't it be verbal too?
Well, actually, it shouldn't be a problem, should it, guys?
It really shouldn't be a problem,
No.
but it was a
No.
problem.
It happened one time.
Never happened
In
again.
normal subs, let's just leave it like it is. Normal subs, if you call me and
Writing's
say
fine.
something on the agenda, and if I tell you no, you get another board member and 2 board members call me, then you've got, well, then I should do it. I will, a chance I'll do it anyway, but there is, like they say, and that was my reason for not doing it.
Should we change that from, written to maybe like electronic too, because email is a thing now?
Well, I mean, that's written,
That
that's
is
a form of
Is it
writing.
considered written? I don't know. 'Cause we, medical
Form
field,
of
it's
writing, I think.
electronic, so there is a difference.
That's right.
That's
Yes,
exactly
You do it
right.
medical.
Yeah,
Okay. So,
Turn these signs.
same,
let's leave it like it is for now. At the end, you have the right to vote it right.
doesn't say what the penalty would be if we did it in writing, and you still didn't do it?
Yeah, it says somewhere, but I can't say it in this meeting.
We can't say it anymore.
Okay, let's let that ride, and, like I said, if it's
Pistol whipping at the war memorial.
the, clean up Edith the veteran.
Clean up the jumbo.
Yeah, no, this is not funny, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be a joke, but, we'll get through this, folks, okay? Let's move on, all right? Now,
Just one thing I would add about the Veterans Memorial is we have a lot of community service workers. We need hours, so that's
What I just said.
yeah,
Thank you.
Politically correctly.
we'll find a few people that do it, hopefully.
Yeah,
We don't, if not, we'll worry about it later. Okay, I'm done. Bev, what you got?
Okay, I need a motion to approve the county clerk and tax redemption reports for March of 2023.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Layton,
Yes.
Kay,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Blade,
Yes.
Harmon,
Yes.
Montgomery.
Yes.
The only other thing I have is we had the election and it was like a 16% turnout. It was a very slow election. That's all I got.
All right. Jenny Maynard, what do you got?
I need a motion to approve the treasurer's report for March 2023.
I'll move.
Second.
Kay,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Blade,
Yes.
Harmon,
Yes.
Layton,
Yes.
Montgomery.
Yes.
The only thing else I have is we mailed mobile home tax payments last month. So we're currently taking those. Those are due June 1st. That's it.
Okay, Jenny, thank you. Richard Murray.
I need a motion to approve the March 2023 highway bills.
In the amount of $447,617.06.
What's that 6 cents for?
So moved.
We have most, somebody make a second?
I'll make the motion. Second.
Layton seconded.
Beard,
Yes.
Blade,
Yes.
Harmon,
Yes.
Layton,
Yes.
Kay,
Yes.
Montgomery.
Yes. What else you got?
Okay, the second thing, I like an amendment to the road use agreement, and then the original one did not take into account multiple companies using the same sections of road. So I wrote what I thought would work, and I got with Brian, and he recommended me some changes, so I incorporated those changes, and the result is what you have in front of you. Just if you got more than one company using the same area, it might be a problem. Who's gonna pay for what? I can take care of that.
Okay. Can I make that motion?
I'll make it.
Second.
And Janet Blade?
Approve the addendum.
Correct.
Okay, Blade,
Yes.
Harmon,
Yes.
Layton,
Yes.
Kay,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Montgomery.
Yes. That all you got there?
That's it.
All right, thank you. Sherry Droder is not here, I don't think. Okay. Rhonda Wilson is not here. Mackenzie Easton? Think so. Steve Maroon, anything?
I have nothing. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian Robbins, anything?
Not this one.
Jonathan Braden not here. Steve Sherwood is not here. All right. Joe Vogt, anything?
I have nothing.
All right, Joe. Michael Martin and Jen Hampton? I don't think they're here. Mark Howard's not here. So we're down to a motion to ratify payment of manual bills in the amount of $271,529.67.
Make the motion.
Second.
Harmon,
Yes.
Layton,
Yes.
Kay,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Blade,
Yes.
Hockenbrink.
Yes. I need motion to approve invoices in the amount of $83,636.74.
Make the motion.
Second.
Layton,
Yes.
Kay,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Blade,
Yes.
Harmon,
Yes.
Hockenbrink.
Okay, now I need a motion to approve payroll number 5 in the amount of $103,278.73.
I'll make it.
Second.
Kay,
Yes.
Beard,
Yes.
Blade,
Yes.
Harmon,
Yes.
Layton,
Yes.
Hockenbrink.
Yes. I need a motion to approve payroll number 6 in the amount of $95,672.92.
Make the motion.
Second.
Beard,
Yes.
Blade,
Yes.
Harmon,
Yes.
Layton,
Yes.
Kay,
Yes.
Hockenbrink.
Yes. Okay, that'd be it. Let's see. Now I need a motion to adjourn.
Now, wait a minute. You're not gonna let us have a chance? SSA is supposed to be on that,
On what?
on the agenda. You called me tonight, remember? Asked me.
Y'all spoke in during public comment.
Didn't tell me that.
Well, it wasn't on the agenda. He talked to me when, this agenda was made back in, Thursday or Friday.
I object to that.
You wanna speak? I guess somebody.
If you're not adjourned, you can still open public comment. That's fine.
Okay, well, I'm not public comment again.
Excuse me, I didn't know I was supposed to go on public comment. I thought that I was under the county rule here, so
Okay.
I would like to say a few things though, okay?
Go ahead.
First of all, I want to thank, the people who came, Tony and Julie, and everybody who supported the ambulance service. And I'm glad to see that you guys finally are going to go to 22, 22, and 16. And to try and get the 22, 22, we're going to do some number crunches to see where do we go, 24, 25, 23. I don't know, but we'll report back to you when that's done. Last Monday night, we had an SSA meeting, and we did our officers, and we also discussed the proposals that you guys were talking about tonight and the changes that we can do. Also, looking into the crystal ball about what do we need for the ambulance, all right? You got Green up over here, it's going to 40 cents. You got neighborhood that's already at 40 cents, and we're stuck in the middle. They have the ambulances, they have the nursing homes, they have the interstate, they have the villages that offer $150,000, and we don't have. We got 22 cents and 16 tonight. Okay, that's what we got. All right, so is that going to be enough? Now, because if you look at $58,000, all we're going to receive this year, okay, you got a $200,000 payroll, possibly to start May 1st. That don't make sense, does it? If we go to 22, 22, and 16, we're looking at 80,000. It's still not enough. All right. So what we got to do, since we're looking at trying to get an ambulance up and going and keep it and sustain, we got to discuss the future just a little bit. And that's what I want to bring up tonight. All right. I want to bring up the future because when you guys voted this 22 cents in on a SSA Area 3, I made copies for everybody. Okay. We're only going to 16. So when we need to go to the 22 cents on Area 3, December meeting, we need to bring it up because what we do in December meeting is going to be putting on the ballots. Is that not right, Beverly?
Say that again.
What we do in December on this 22 cents is what's going to go on the ballot in order to
Not
get
the ballot, that's the levy.
the levy. Okay. And to get it for September of 2024 monies, correct? Okay. So that'd be 22 cents across the board. Now I understand if we have to go to 23, 24 to get the 22 cents, so be it. All right. But the only thing we got going, folks, for us, for this ambulance is 40 cents max. Okay. Just like Greenup, just like Neoga. Again, we don't have the interstate system. We don't have the nursing homes. And that's what's going to get us survive. But also today, I want to point out to everybody about the runs. And these all came from Michaela on 911. So I'll leave them up here for you to look at later on. But what I did, I compared March 13th of 2022 to April 11th of 2022, and I did the same thing for this year. Okay, now it's interesting to note this, all right? In 2022, Neoga had 48 runs. Toledo had 36. Greenup had 46. Total of 130, okay? That's what they ran from during that period. I wanted to see if that interstate came in, how much of an effect would it have on it, all right? So I asked her to do the same thing, March 13th of 2023 to April 11th, today. And there was a run come in as we were doing this report. It's interesting to know that 59 was from Neoga compared to 48. 54 was for Greenup compared to 46. 17 was Toledo. We couldn't run because we didn't have an ambulance. So what happened was Neoga took 2 of the runs, going from 59 to 61. 61 runs. They had 48 this time last year. But listen to this. Greenup went from 54 to 69. 69 runs from 30-day period, March 13th to April 11th. So when Tony says, man, we're working our butts off, 15 of those runs came from Toledo that they took, and 2 was from Neoga. You know what that totals? Guess what? 132. 130 runs. We didn't make anything in Toledo. But here's the thing. If this continues on, the maintenance that's going on in the interstate, we need Toledo ambulance up and going and running to take over what Neoga, when they get a call, but they're out on the interstate or they're running a nursing home, or vice versa. Greenup is on the interstate and or a nursing home to make their runs. So we are needed. We don't have an entrance or an exit off the interstate, so that's not going to be any value. We don't have a nursing home, but we can sure back them guys up. They can go from 69 back down to 48, 46 where they were this time last year. And as you said, we're working our butts off. That's where the ambulance is needed at, guys. So all I'm saying right now is you got 2022 and 16, but in December, I'm going to ask for, and the SSA has all agreed to this, okay? We're going to ask for the additional monies in December, and hopefully get it for next year. But here's another food for thought. Bev and I had a discussion today. Sorry to bring into it, Bev. But can we accelerate it to 40 cents? And the answer is yes. Okay, according to what she's telling me, we can do this. All right. And we have to have a hearing in order to do it. And then it's got to be published. And the public has got to come to the hearing and discuss it. And then, and I think Jonathan had this done one other time. They have to have 60 days after that hearing to bring in the objections to the petition objections. All right. But it's got to be by 51% of the landowner and 51% of the registered voters. And that's difficult, very difficult for those to get it. Because as Ronnie and all the rest of the people saying, we have the support out there. And as Greenup is just showing 417 votes to 177 no's. 417 to 177. They're 1 to 2. So is it something that we can do? We're unique. And the reason we're unique is, Robert just pointed out that's 40 cents on every dollar that's out there at Greenup. We don't have to do 40 cents on every dollar. We can still let the landowners have their soil type. We need to be 40 cents across the board, at least have enough money income coming in to support this ambulance. You understand? So I'm going to continue to do that. I'll fight the big bad wolf, so be it. But I'm also a number crunching guy. In order to make this work, we'll have to do that.
I got a question. There.
Yes, sir.
So hold on, I want to stop you. We're not allowed to talk about this. It's not on the agenda. Only the guests can speak.
Okay. Sorry. And I won't talk.
Huh?
Comment.
Sorry.
We'll bring it up the next meeting, Kyle.
I'm sorry, Kyle, but
Nope, you're right.
that's the
And
law.
that's okay.
And Kyle, you can talk to him independently as long as
Right.
it's not a quorum.
And the other thing about the ambulance, I just want to bring you up to date on it. The mechanical part of that ambulance has all been approved off by the people that was powered to be to inspect it. The only thing that we're lack right now is the Illinois Department of Health, which is Sarah Bush Lincoln Health Center, has got to come in and do their inspection and get it for approval. And the last thing I want to say is that the SSA 1, SSA 2, SSA 3 on tax bills confusing to 90% of the people out there in the public. They don't know what that means. They think it's Social Security Administration. So I asked Beverly if she could amend that tax report and talk to Jenny about it too as well today to include ambulance service in parentheses. So your tax bill will say SSA 1, 2, or 3, whichever it pertains, ambulance service. So you know exactly how much you're paying for that ambulance on your tax bill. And I think that would stop a lot of problems. So I'll leave this report up here for you guys to look at if you want to. Thank you for your time.
Hi, Mike. Great, thank you. So, that's all public comment. All right, need a motion to.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Blaze? Yes. Harmon?
Yes.
Layton?
Yes.
Kay?
Yes.
Beard?
Yes.
Hilsenbrand?
Meeting adjourned.
Sorry, Kyle.
No, it should